Good afternoon, everyone. This is Juan Catamayo, JCT for Education for you. And today, what we say, let's go to Boston. Let's take a quick trip to Boston, Massachusetts. And from there, I will pick a dear friend of mine, Andre Kostousov from Northeastern University. And we're taking a virtual trip to London. So let me invite Andre right now. Hey, Happy Thursday, everyone. And here we come. Our guest of the day, Conversations Live with JCT for Education. Andre.
Oh, hello, Juanca. Good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Good. Andre, Kostousov, am I saying your last name correct or not?
That is correct. In America, that's how it's pronounced, right? Well, in my native language, it's pronounced differently, but that's fine.
Can you teach me, please? Because I want to say it
sure.
correctly.
As you know, I'm Russian, so my last name is Russian. I mean, it's no denying. It's very easy to see. And in Russian, it's pronounced Kostousov. So there's one additional syllable. You got it.
Kostousov. Well, thank you so much. And for those of you watching this live, we are here with Director of International Enrollment and Strategy at Northeastern University. And we have Bo before, so a big hello to Bo. But today we're going to focus on New College of Humanities. But first, Conversations is about you. And you just say you're from Russia. And
right.
Where did you grow up in Russia?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer. Every time people ask me this question, I have to ask qualifying questions because I was born in the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union was much larger than today's Russia.
Yes.
So where I was born is now an independent country called Moldova.
Okay.
Which is between Romania and Ukraine.
Yes.
In the south, very close to the Black Sea.
Okay.
So back then, obviously, there was no borders. People traveled and moved, and lived in different parts of the country. So, and that's what it is. So I grew up in Moldova, and then I went to St. Petersburg. Half of my family is from there, so I went to college there.
Andre, do you still have family in Moldova?
No, I don't. Unfortunately. Well, you know what? Let me take it back. I do have a distant cousin who still lives there.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. Well, I've been to the Ukraine. I've been to Romania. I've been to Russia. I actually did the CIS tour. Marilyn Hesser from University of Richmond. She was our tour guide. And we had the luxury to travel around the country, and that was absolutely beautiful. You have high school students watching, you have parents, and we will dip into Northeastern and the New College of Humanities, but you went to a high school number 34.
That's right.
Can you explain the numerical numbers? Because that's very similar to China. China, they put numbers to their high school.
That is correct. And in both countries, it's so China took a lot from the Soviet Union in terms of organizing the work of the society after the Cultural Revolution. Why numbers? Because that was the easier way to just distinguish schools from one school to the next. Plus, it's a centralized system, so for record keeping and everything, that was the easiest way. You have to understand that after the 1917 revolution, there's been a tremendous change across the entire country. By the time the World War I rolled in 1914, 95% of the population was living in a rural area. About 90% was completely illiterate. So when the revolution happened, the first priority was given to education, and the education system was built centrally. And giving a school a number rather than the name was the easiest way to manage it.
Correct.
So, but then within this each as you understand, that's normal. Within each system, like a district or city, there will be a rivalry between schools. It's like school such and such is the better school than school such and such. So that was quite interesting because we competed against school number 31.
Oh, wow.
So it was a toss-up between what's the best school, 31, 34, 31. So
and how many students in your year?
We had about Uh, about 200, 250 students in a
Oh,
year.
okay. And
It's not
an average class will be what, 30, 40
about
students per
30,
class?
yeah, about 30 students
Okay.
per class. And we had a numerical system for
Yes.
classes as well, numerical and alphanumerical. So my graduating class was it was the 10-year school or secondary school system. So it was class number 10 with the letter B, so 10B.
Okay. Yes, yes. Uh,
10A, 10B, and 10C we had. So I was in
it's
10B.
it's pretty much the same, and I see Diana Navarro just joining. Diana in
Hey,
Colombia,
Diana.
how are you, my friend? Thank you, Diana, for
Diana,
watching.
yeah, Diana didn't know this about me, so she's gonna learn a lot.
Well, she's gonna learn a lot, and pretty much in Colombia. I mean, our school was named. Our school is still up there, but we used to have that. Oh, they still have that numerical system that you guys
Yeah.
have. And I remember in high school, I was always between number 37 to 39. That was always my ratio. Did they also give you numbers in the classroom?
No, they did not. We were all individuals in class.
Well, we
The
were.
class had the number, but we were individuals in class.
No, we were like numbers and last names, Mr. Tamayo. So,
Oh, good.
so were you a good student?
I
This
was
is
an
the
excellent
time.
student. I was an
Yeah?
excellent student. Yeah, well, I must admit, I was an excellent student to the extent that I was a little complacent because it was too easy for me. So I finished the school very, very well.
Okay.
The
And how
college,
old?
though, transition to college was hard.
It was hard.
That was hard.
Yesterday, I had a professional now. He's finishing his PhD, but he told
Mhm.
me he finished at age 15, his high school. What age did you have when you finished your high school?
Back in the day, it was 17 years
Okay.
old.
Not
Yeah.
bad. So you were with your family, and then you say, I want to enroll at the University of St. Petersburg, St. Petersburg. So my question is, why that university, and what major, what bachelor's degree did you receive?
Mm, excellent question. Well, first, I already told you that part of my family lived in St. Petersburg. Still
Yes.
does.
Hmm.
So my aunt comes to visit me, come to visit us, and she says, "This is a great school. You have to apply." I didn't plan to do that. I mean, I was planning to stay, close by, next to my family, and my mom like, "No, no, no, it's just too far, too far." But then my aunt, "No, no, no, you have to apply because this is a good school, this is a good education." And I was like, okay, well, let me give it a try. So, so I applied. Well, why St. Petersburg? I mean, it's a magnificent city, but
It's
also
beautiful.
it's one of the best universities in the country. It competes with Moscow University for number one, and in many ways, it sort of, depending on the program or major or department, sort of this is toss up which school is better. So for me to be next to my aunt. Go to a good school. That was sort of an appealing proposition. So my major was in
Yes.
education
Okay.
and in Russian language. So I
Wow.
started to be a teacher and specifically teaching Russian to foreign students.
Okay.
So I was back then it was a 5-year bachelor's degree, which
Mm-hmm.
equates to an American master's program.
Yes.
Um, and I was on a career path to teach international students Russian language, which
Okay.
to some extent did materialize, only I taught English as opposed to Russian
And
to foreign students.
where do you learn your English?
Um, in high school, well,
Okay.
middle school and high school, right? In college, I studied French, so I specialized in French, and I was pretty good in French. At some point, I spoke French better than I did English, but now it's sort of reverse. So it's like, oh my God, how do I say this in French? that's what it is.
No,
But yes,
I understand because I learned English at age 19. I couldn't say my English in high school. The teachers were excellent. I just couldn't get A and B together. So I just migrated here. And so did you. So you did transition and you moved to Massachusetts. You applied for University of Massachusetts for your master's MBA in marketing. What brought you to the United States?
so remember I told you that on a career path to teach Russian to foreigners. In fact, I take back my early statement. I did teach, obviously, Russian to international students, and I did it
Okay.
here in the States.
Yes.
So I had a job offer from the Phillips Academy in Andover.
Yes.
It's a prep school. It's a high school, quite known, one of the oldest in the country. President George Washington actually was the personal friend of the founder, Samuel Phillips, who founded the
Yes.
school. So I taught there for 4 years. I worked with American and international students, at Phillips, teaching them Russian language. It was a wild ride, I'm telling you. It was a great time. And then at some point I said, well, you know what, I'd like to continue my education, and what would be the best career move for me from that point on, whether should I stay in education or try something else. So I decided, I try business. Business has, many applications. It may give me some skills that I've never had. So that's what I did.
Okay.
So I went and got my MBA.
Andre, how difficult is to understand Russian, or not to understand, to learn? I've been to your country once, only once in my life, and it sounds easy to understand, but the alphabet is very long. I noticed that you taught intermediate and advanced level at Phillips Academy. And how difficult is it? I mean, like any language, but what do you recommend? Because I'm intrigued and I really want to learn Russian.
Well, the best way to learn any language is to have a close friend who is of that culture, of that language, and through communication with this person, obviously, you're going to pick up a good deal of this new language. In terms of alphabet, I know that when you speak to people who who are curious but don't know much about Russian, that's one of the first questions they ask, or the first comment they make is that your alphabet is so different from ours. But in reality, Cyrillic alphabet comes from the very source from the very same source as Latin alphabet. It all originates in Greek.
Okay.
So there's a lot of letters in Russian alphabet which are exactly the same as in Latin alphabet. T,
Okay.
K, O, M, for example, exactly the same. So next time you visit me, I'll show you how easy it is to recognize specific letters in the Russian alphabet, even if you don't know anything about Russian, but you obviously know Spanish, for example, or English, so you're familiar with Latin alphabet.
Will do.
So I'll do that.
Spasiba. Spasiba.
Пожалуйста, пожалуйста. Don't be afraid. That's all I can tell you.
And how is your Spanish?
Well, I can tell you, I can definitely follow a commentary of a soccer game.
Okay.
When you watch soccer on TV, that's easy.
Okay.
That's
Now we're talking. Do you follow any particular league?
Well, obviously, I have a few favorite teams back home in Russia, but say in the Premier League in England, I like Arsenal. When I sort of developed this interest in Arsenal, right? If you're a fan of soccer, you know that Arsene Wenger was like for 20 years a coach at or director técnico at Arsenal, right? And the way the team played reminded me of my favorite team in Russia, which is Spartak in Moscow. It's a precursor to tiki-taka, right? It's a ball possession, short passes, very precise. So I kind of liked it. It reminded me of Spartak back in 1990s when I was following it. So
and that's what drove people nuts when Colombia, Pibe Valderrama, Higuita, all of them, they came to a World Cup with that type of football, soccer. Everybody was going crazy because, I mean, the European League is so fast.
Yeah.
Ironically, right now, Colombian is very fast when it
Hmm.
comes to soccer.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
but back 20, 30 years ago was like,
Hmm.
they couldn't follow those moves. But anyway,
Yeah.
we're here
Yeah.
to talk about you. We're here
That's
to
right.
talk about the new College of Humanities, and
That's right.
we're just getting it started here. So I won't detour. So you finished your master's at University of
Yeah.
Massachusetts. You worked your way for a company that
That's right.
for
It's a
not
high
for
tech company. Yeah,
high tech.
exactly. Yeah. Called Engage. Very interesting story.
Go ahead.
Back then, internet was in its nascency, right? It was a relatively new thing, and many new tools that today we take for granted on the internet were developed at that time, early 2000s. So my company I used to work for, Engage, actually developed technology to display banner advertising on the
Yes.
websites. So
Okay.
today it's like so ubiquitous, right? So you don't even pay attention to those banners. But back in the day, that was like a cutting edge of technology. So my company developed this technology, and we were the pioneers of internet sort of browser development. So, but
Okay.
I didn't work on in the technology proper. I worked on
Okay.
a business development side.
Did you invest on your company?
I did, but then hard times came, and we got delisted from Nasdaq. So my stock
Uh,
just went sort of worthless, unfortunately.
okay. So now you work for the company and then you move into education and you work for Kaplan. For Kaplan, you were there 4 years before you move into Northeastern University where you are right now, and you've been working there for 12 years, and
Hmm.
you're a celebrity, my friend. Let
How
me tell you,
so?
I announced this to about your interview, your conversation on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and all counselors from around the world. They just jumped in. You better check your Facebook. I mean, people are so happy that you're here. You've been at Northeastern for 12 years, so you've probably done something really good for international education, my friend.
Well, thank you very much for saying this. I didn't know that, but yeah, it would be great to see the friends that whom with whom I worked for all these years. Great people. I think you and I know it well, right? So the international education is such a closely knit community. So you can travel to Russia, you can travel to Singapore, you can travel to Hong Kong, you can travel to Colombia, and once you enter this area, or rather, international school, or start talking about future with parents and students and how they envision where they're going to study and so on and so forth, you very quickly find the common ground. So it's a very closely knit community.
So later on, check your LinkedIn because you have a lot of
Okay.
people on LinkedIn commenting. But I just want to take a second to say hi to Caro del Corral, Nuela, Ana G. We have people, Pablo. Pablo is going to school in Boston this fall. So to all of you, to Alexandra, hello. We're here just on a live conversation with Andre from Northeastern University. Andre, 12 years at Northeastern. Why did you pick to work for Northeastern University? Tell us that story.
Uh, well, at that time, I was looking for a new challenge. I was the center director with Kaplan for a number of years, so I wanted to change gears a little bit. I mean, um, what I wanted to do is work a little bit closer with the sort of different type of student. Um, that's one. And two, Northeastern was, still is, an amazing school. And back then, Northeastern just really took off in terms of its transformation. So I really wanted to be part of something special, of something where I could bring an immediate impact and see the tangible result of my impact. And I think this was probably the most important driver for me, just to
Okay.
come and join this incredibly dynamic and innovative institution and to contribute to it. So, and then, fast forward 12 years, I'm still here. And I'm not the only one. There's a lot of people like me who stay with this institution, and why the reason is, in my opinion, is that the institution is so dynamic and so incredibly changes all the time,
No,
all the time.
I know, and I worked for Lynn University for 12 years.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so the love when you're talking 12 years, there is love, it's hard work, loyalty, and all of those things come together. And I had the opportunity to visit your office
Mhm.
probably a year and a half ago, and
That's right.
I see how dynamic your office is. I see how multicultural everything is. I mean, the students once they visit, and now I mean, it's you guys are doing really well, and we will talk about all of these initiatives from your president, from the whole team at Northeastern University. But now you're director of international enrollment and strategies. Can you explain that title to the audience, the parents that are watching, and all of our colleagues? What
Mhm.
that title entitles?
Well, first, to understand what I do and where I am at this time at Northeastern, you need to know that I started with undergraduate admissions. So for the first 9 years of my career, I led student recruitment and enrollment for undergraduate. So, and at some point, I felt that there was a need for greater integration and greater collaboration and alignment of recruitment efforts and international student services across the institution. So that's when I transitioned to my new role. And what my role does and what my unit, International Enrollment Management, does is we are seeking opportunities and seeking sort of combine and to integrate different international facing initiatives across the entire university. So whereas my first 9 years I dealt only with international students on the undergraduate side, now we work with students of all different academic levels. So graduate, PhDs, we look into opportunities to develop and continue developing relationships with our alumni. And then that's where NCH, the New College of the Humanities in London, comes in. So now we integrate them into Northeastern network, and it falls under my unit and me personally. So
Okay.
again, the scope of my work and application of my work expanded dramatically beyond undergraduate admissions and undergraduate students to include all other populations, and gave me a good sort of big picture view as to how the education happens beyond just undergraduate.
Okay.
How you can weave in and strategically approach your education at the moment when you leave your secondary school or your high school and into your future, how you envision your career, what needs to happen between your being 17, 18 years old, finishing your high school, and your being 25, 30, 35. And in my position, I see it much better. I can connect the dots much better.
Okay, so Andre, you have a big role, my friend. You have huge responsibilities. You have to advocate. And when I work in admissions, we are the sales force. So we're making sure that we bring the students, but we sustain quality. And let's transition. We had Bo, and he talked a lot about Northeastern University, and he did a great job. And we're gonna invite him back for updates in the fall, so you guys can tell us about opening campus and
That's
so
right.
forth.
Okay.
But I'm really intrigued about the new College of the Humanities at Northeastern University. Can you tell us a little bit more about the campus? Is located in London. It was founded in 2011. Tell us about the vision, mission, and I will start asking you questions about your campus. Go ahead.
Okay. So first, why and how NCH, or the New College of the Humanities in London, and why are we talking about it, right? You mentioned that, and you introduced me as somebody who works for Northeastern University. Why all of a sudden we talk about that? And it's important to understand that Northeastern is no longer a Boston-based university. Although
Okay.
Boston remains our hub and our home, we becoming a global university. And
Okay.
to that point, we expand our educational opportunities and extend our educational opportunities to areas all around the world. So we do operate a number of graduate campuses in North America, 4 in the United States, Silicon Valley, San Francisco, Seattle, and Charlotte, and 2 in Canada, in Vancouver and Toronto. So
Okay.
these campuses were set up as a Northeastern presence. So when you go to Vancouver, you will see Northeastern University. not
Yes.
Northeastern University. It's going to be Northeastern University campus. Same in Silicon Valley, same in San Francisco. So we're expanding our footprint beyond the United States, beyond Boston. So that's where the new College of the Humanities comes in. When we decided to acquire them and make it part of our network, that was the driver. It's like, how can we establish ourselves and establish our campus, establish our presence in London, London being the center of education, just like Boston, very attractive. There's a great number of international students who study in London. There's a great number of American students, including Northeastern students, who study in London. So for us, it was a very organic step to acquire the new College of the Humanities to provide the base for our students and for future international students. So that's how we sort of acquired them and now integrating them into Northeastern network. And that's how you need to think about it. It's part of a global network of Northeastern University that now represents Northeastern in London.
Andre, and we have a question here from Alexandra Mendoza. And actually it fits in on what we're talking. Her question is, do all international students get admitted via the NU in program or NU Immerse?
No, not necessarily. NU in and NU Immerse are two admission decisions that we offer alongside with regular admission or admission into our Boston campus. There's a number of other decisions that we make, NU Bound, for example. When we receive applications at Northeastern, right, we make a decision in the best interest of the student, right? So we assess your application portfolio and decide what is the best option for you. So NU In is one of them. NU In students begin their study not in Boston, but on the premises and within an educational institution of our partner. So, for example, McGill University in Montreal or University of Sydney in Sydney. Or NCH now in London. That's where students spend their first semester, and then they transition to Boston. NU Immerse is a year-long program offered in Boston, and it's offered for those students who need a little bit help with their English language. So they take freshman level classes, but also improve their English. So not every student will be admitted through NU In or NU Immerse, but these are two of the options that we offer.
What sets NCH apart from all mainstream universities in Europe or around the world?
And this is very true. I thank you for this question, because this is truly something that our listeners need to understand, that this is a unique institution offering a unique education in a unique setting. For me to answer this question, I need to go back into history of NCH and explain where NCH is coming from. This will give you sort of the context of what makes NCH different. So NCH was founded by Anthony Grayling, and Anthony Grayling is a very famous philosopher. He taught at Oxford, Cambridge. He published a number of very influential books. He's being interviewed left and right. If you go online and Google his name, Grayling, you will find a lot of links to either articles that he wrote, books that he published, interviews that he's done. So being a philosopher and academic, he saw the deficiencies of UK education that is focusing not only on one specific area, one specific discipline at the expense of potentially or perhaps interdisciplinary study or studies in a parallel discipline, which is very prevalent and sort of present in an American educational system, right? So what he decided to do is to take an American approach to education, liberal art approach of education, broader, wider, combining majors and minors, creating a core curriculum that every student has to take, but then deliver this education through a very unique Oxford and Cambridge tutorial method. So it's a combination of the two. American approach to liberal arts, major, minor, core, focus on career, delivered through tutorial system of Cambridge and Oxford.
Okay.
And because of this, this combination makes NCH education very unique. It's very unique for the UK or British education. Nobody offers this. It's unique for European education, again, through the combination of the two. And it's unique for American education too, because its delivery method is not something that we practice in the United States. And tutorial means that you sit down in front of your professor and you discuss subject matter with your professor. It could be one-on-one, it could be a small group, say 3 people sitting in front of your professor, again, discussing a subject matter that you study. Just to give you an idea, in any university that practices not tutorial but traditional method of education, you will see your professor at best maybe an hour.
Yes.
Every week, maybe 2 if your class is long.
Yes.
At NCH, you have up to 15 hours of FaceTime with your professor every week.
Wow. Wow.
So again, this immediate, personal and personalized approach to your education is unique. So that's what makes it so different, but also so powerful.
Okay.
I
see Bo just joining and he's saying hello. I'm sorry.
Hi, Bo.
Go ahead, Andre.
And another element to it is that in order for you to deliver on tutorial method, you cannot be as large as Northeastern, for example, right? Northeastern has 30,000, 35,000 students. It's just virtually impossible. So by design, NCH was very small.
Okay.
We're talking about 250 students combined.
Okay.
You know, when you ask me how large was your graduating class in my high school, that was larger than the entire population of the New College of the Humanities. But that sort of lends itself to this tutorial method of education.
So here we are. I have many questions, but one of the questions that probably one of the students a couple of students are watching right now is like, is that a New College of the Humanities degree, or is it a combined degree with Northeastern University?
Mm-hmm. Excellent question. At this moment, this is a New College of the Humanities degree. So when you receive your diploma, it's going to say New College of the Humanities.
Okay.
But as we acquired NCH recently, and one of the strategic goals that was set for integration and making NCH part of our network was the dual degree or dual recognition degree. So this is something that is being explored, and it's one of the ultimate goals.
Okay.
So that when students go to NCH and they study at NCH, they could transition to Northeastern, take classes in Northeastern, and both set of courses are going to be mutually recognized, and then degrees are going to be dual degrees. So it's Northeastern and NCH degree. But for the time being, it's an NCH degree. Also, you need to...
Go ahead.
You need to understand that every degree of every university in every country is the subject of laws and rules and regulations of this specific country.
Yes.
So you cannot offer Northeastern degree in London because it's not part of the sort of British education system. Mm-hmm. So NCH will continue to deliver British education, which is subject to British law.
Yes.
But then through the mutual recognition of degrees, that's how we come to the dual degrees options, and when students could recognize their degrees, vice versa.
When reading myself about NCH, I found out fascinating data, very provocative articles about being one of the top universities in the UK. I mean, having the Cambridge and Oxford model combined, 75%, as you mentioned, your major, 75% of the content, and then you have a 25% for your second minor. So it is fascinating. Now, it sounds to me, how competitive is it to get in terms of IB diploma? If you have, what's the minimum points that you need even to consider applying there? or if you're doing the AP system, how competitive it is to get in?
Well, it's a good question, and you're absolutely correct. It's a very, very competitive school. And when I spoke to their students and just asked about their journeys, where you're coming from, where you apply to, what other universities you considered, where other universities, what other universities accepted you, and so on, I'm stunned by the choices the students make. Okay. So NCH competes with St. Andrews, LSE, University College, Imperial. It's extraordinary. So it is very competitive, and unlike the British system, in which, well, actually, NCH is trying to do a little bit more holistic way to evaluate their applicants, but in order for you to be, but because they are part of British system and they use UCAS, so there must be black and white sort of admission requirements. And for the IB, for example, you need to be 35 or above in order for you to gain admission to NCH. Let me see. I can give you an idea of other requirements.
What's the percentage of UK citizens versus international?
Being so small, NCH is still very much dependent on European Union and UK. So there's a fair number of international students whom we would consider in the United States international, but they may come from Poland, for example, Germany or Denmark, right? But for the British education, because its still was at the time part of the European Union, they consider it like a home student. So they all rolled into one. So at this moment, NCH has very, very few students from outside the European Union and the United Kingdom.
Okay, and your goal is to increase that just to have students from Latin America. Because I was actually reading that one of your most popular majors is law and politics. So I'm wondering, if I'm coming from Colombia and study law, I need to go back to Colombia, and then if I want to practice, I will have to continue my master's degree in Colombia and so forth. But I notice it's extremely competitive. But I know you're here because we want to talk about it, because more people around the world, we need to know more about NCH, and it's fascinating. Now, for students in the UK, what are the fees? And for the students outside of the UK, what are the fees?
Okay. Because this is a UK-based institution, all the regulations that apply to UK fees and tuition apply to NCH as well. So for home student, that's £9,000. For an international student, that means the student outside of European Union and the United Kingdom, that's £14,000. So it's on par with the sort of mandate that other UK institutions follow. So
and as students live on campus, you have accommodation on campus, or they have to? You guys have a housing department where they live at apartments and so forth.
That's right. NCH does help students find housing. NCH does not operate our own residencies. It's too small. But they work with, we work with a number of sort of providers across London, and we arrange for our students to stay in student accommodations elsewhere. The key to it is that, and you know it full well, living on campus has its benefit because you continue learning outside of your class, right? So you meet somebody, somebody takes a different class and different major, so you learn from this person, you strike, friendships, and you exchange ideas, and so on and so forth. The very same is achieved at NCH through placing students in student accommodations in which students from other colleges and universities in London live. So even though it's not an NCH proper housing, students are placed with other students, but who attend other universities. So the same exchange of information, the same exchange and learning happens within NCH residential accommodation, but it is going to be not necessarily on campus of NCH.
Okay. Andre, so it's a 3-year degree. And if you go for law, is it 4-year or 5-year?
It's a 3-year degree, and it's a traditional British degree. Whether it's a law, it's still going to be 3 years. Now, we are developing, and we do have the pathways, so to speak, from NCH bachelor's into Northeastern masters. One of these pathways is an admission into Northeastern LLM, or Master of Laws program.
Nice.
Masters of Law is one year long program at Northeastern. So graduates of NCH bachelors with law degree can gain access into Northeastern LLM program, completed within a year, and with LLM comes necessary accreditation and certification and bar and eligibility for the bar exam.
Okay.
For somebody who wants to practice law, this becomes a much shorter way, much shorter route to become a practicing lawyer. Receiving your 3-year degree in law in London, coming to Northeastern, completing 1 year LLM, being eligible for bar.
Okay, so now one of the beauties about studying at any college or university is that nowadays is the study abroad component. A student from NCH can travel to Boston, Massachusetts, and do a study abroad in Boston or around the world in any of your campuses.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is a study abroad, right? So there are ways for students at NCH to come to Northeastern and be considered a study abroad student, definitely. And what we also are building is a greater mobility between us. So you mentioned the regional campuses that Northeastern operates in North America. So our goal is to achieve a mobility of the student when student could spend a semester in London, semester in Boston, semester in San Francisco, semester in Vancouver. So in fact, we already launched this program. This applies at this moment for Northeastern students who come and apply and being admitted into Global Explorer program. These students start in London, they transition to San Francisco, then they go on a co-op, and then they finish their education in Boston. So this is the goal. At this moment, NCH students, to answer your question, can spend a semester as a study abroad at Northeastern, yes. And we're developing greater mobility options.
I just want to say hi to Lina Montoya, Mariana Char, to all of you. Welcome. We're here with Andre. Andre, I'm going to try your last name. Kostousov, that's the American way, and the Russian way is
Kostousov.
Kostousov. So I gotta remember that one. Andre, I'm conscious about your time. I know you're a busy guy, and Instagram Live give us just a few minutes before they just say goodbye, hasta la vista. So we have around 5, 6, 7 minutes more here. But updates for both campuses in London and Boston, Massachusetts. What are you guys talking about? Are students allowed to return this fall? What are the latest updates, if you might answer any of those questions?
Mm-hmm. Great questions, and I know that it's on everybody's mind what's going to happen in September, right? So let me start with Northeastern. Northeastern has plans to reopen. In fact, the university has been reopening, gradually. So in September, we plan on in-person, in-class enrollment.
Okay.
Having said that, we fully understand that personal circumstances of a student could differ. Some students may not secure a visa, others are unable to fly to Boston because of the travel restrictions. Yet another students may feel uncertain about being in Boston, for example, right? So we developed a very flexible synchronous way to teach. We call it NU Flex. That allows for synchronous delivery of instruction. So students will have a choice to come to class in person, maybe to tune in to the very same class from their dorm room, or listen and follow the instruction in the recorded format. So this gives students additional flexibility to decide for themselves where sort of the comfort level is.
Okay.
And also it allows students to start semester, for example, in their home country, say in Bogota. Bogota is still closed, for example, in September. They cannot travel, that's fine. You can start September in Bogota, then transition to Boston in November and continue your studies uninterrupted.
Okay.
So that's on the Northeastern side. On the NCH side, it's a little bit different because it's part of the UK and the European Union. So the situation is different in terms of response to COVID, but NCH also is planning to open its doors for in-class, in-person instruction.
Okay.
Given that NCH size is so small, it's much easier to deliver compared to 17,000 undergraduate and other 15,000 graduate students at Northeastern. So
Absolutely. No, it is much easier. Now, your entry class for the London cohort, is it 65 for NCH, 65 students, 70 students for that? Your entry class?
Right. That's right. Yeah, it's very small.
It's
Everybody knows everybody. Your professor will know you too. Now, tutorial method, right? So there's nobody between you and your professor. There is nobody. You can't hide anymore, right? So you can't come to class unprepared. They will know.
No, there are no excuses for being sick. You have to call him or her and say, I'm sorry, I'm sick and I don't feel well. And Bo, thank you so much for sharing the link. Students, if you're watching or you'll be watching, here is the link for the latest updates on the student information related to COVID and everything, latest updates. So Bo, thank you for sharing that link right now. Andre, you're amazing. I've been learning a lot about you. And one question, because you and I, we love philosophy. What's the future of education?
Great question. And I'm telling you, we are living through historic times. Now the future of education is being made. Up until this point, we went with the flow. The way education was designed 200 years ago, 100 years ago, and practiced 50 years ago, that's what we continue to do. I think Northeastern, to some extent, was on the forefront of change.
Yes.
Through our experiential learning, co-ops, remote delivery, online classes, and so on. But the future of education is going to be multimodal. Multimodality is going to be applied. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind.
Yes.
Now we're setting the new parameters, the new standards for this multimodality, in which no matter where you are in the world, or no matter where you are in the time zone, right, you will have access to education. And in fact, it fits with Northeastern 2025 vision, which is the strategic vision of development of the institution, very nicely. Because our vision calls for creating a very flexible and networked institution which is not constrained by place, like campus, or by time. So multimodality, that's the future of education. That's when you, as a student, will have a choice of selecting individual elements of education and putting it all together in a fashion that fits your specific interest in your specific situation.
Well, that's good.
What I believe is going to happen.
I just want to say thank you to Macri. She says, great chat by all. And then Alexandra Mendoza says, I'm a proud Northeastern University mom. And I hopefully double Northeastern University mom next year. So Alexandra, thank you for watching.
Good to hear that.
Andre, I have this reflection for you. You know that my mind is always thinking. I told you about our innovation summit in Italy. I have this one for you. So I've been taking a course on global education. 1.7 billion learners right now around the world. You name it, from birth, pretty much, because moms and dads are playing music, in the womb, and they are doing a simulation all the way up to 100 years and plus. You see grandmothers now using iPads because of this situation. So here it is. Right now, 17% of the 1.7 billion are online learners. Okay. By year 2025, it's 50%. Yet, you have thousands and thousands of students applying to your institution, and it's one of the most competitive programs to apply and to get in the United States. So, as Director of International Enrollment and Strategies, I say this with all my kindness and respect to you, because I love you guys. is I had John Liu here. You know John Liu,
Of
United World
course.
College. She's the
Good friend.
co-founder of Second Chance. Second Chance is for students that they didn't get the first chance, full scholarship. And I say, John Liu, you know what? I want to create the Third Chance Foundation. Third Chance are
Uh-huh.
for my students that cannot get anywhere, and they still yet want to get a Northeastern University education. So the challenge is what universities are going to be doing with the thousands and thousands of students applying. And I believe there is an opportunity right now that is knocking at everybody's doors and say, come on, you can do so much with all these thousands of students. So it's much of a deeper conversation. And I know you're going to pick on this line, and probably you guys are thinking, what are we doing with Juan Camilo's foundation, Third Chance? Because those kids, they also want to attend amazing institutions. So
That's right.
it's just a say.
That's right. Well, first, congratulations on this idea, and congratulations on your drive to deliver education to as many people as possible. Third Chance is a fantastic idea. I fully supportive of it. I think that you are absolutely on the money when you say that the number of people who study online is going to explode in the next several years. No doubt about it. And this is how you can deliver multiple chances, not just third chances, fourth chances, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So in other words, we losing constraint of a place. Still, coming out, attending in person is the best way to learn. No doubt about it.
Of course.
No doubt about it.
Of course.
But then,
yes.
to your point, can we deliver the same level of education without necessarily requiring an individual to come on campus, right? So
Yes.
that's where these additional chances, in my opinion, will be able to be met or taken advantage of.
Yes.
That's what it is.
So it's conversation.
Right, but here's the thing, right? So you and I, we work inside of the education system, right? But we are always dependent on other side of the same system, and that's students and parents.
Yes.
And as you and I talk about the future of education, we can present our view, but we need to recognize that students and parents are equal part,
Yes.
equal part of the same process. So in other words, our students and our parents are just as empowered to change the education paradigm as we are.
Yes.
So we can have ideas, they can have ideas. Bring those ideas together, see where it's going to take us.
So we got to create a really nice innovation team, parents, students, educators, all together.
Precisely.
That's what's coming up. So now, what have you learned during this social distancing? You still haven't returned to your office, right? You're still at home.
No, I'm still home. Yes. First, I found about myself that I don't like it. I want to go back on campus and see people. That's what I learned. But secondly, in terms of education, I must say that I learned that you need to be prepared. I think Northeastern rebounded and responded to this crisis better than other schools just because we're better prepared. Okay. We had the models for online education. We had the models for hybrid education. We had the models of delivering our education outside the Boston campus, connecting our different campuses. You see, so you have to be prepared. Second, you have to see every challenge as an opportunity. When 2008 crisis happened, we took advantage of the opportunity and we beefed up transformed our research capacity. Today, it's an opportunity for our institution to create a new paradigm, new model of education. So in every challenge, you have to seek an opportunity. And if you do that, and you are agile enough and you prepared enough, right, you will do very well. And that's what I'm going to say about Northeastern and NCH, both institutions. So it's a great challenge, but it's a fantastic opportunity. We emerge outside of this challenge as a stronger, much more progressive, much more dynamic institutions than we are today.
Absolutely. And to the parents that are watching and students and colleagues, please follow Northeastern LinkedIn account. I actually am now following the new College of Humanities LinkedIn account. Right. There is so much information on your LinkedIn account. It is fascinating. So, Andre, it has been Amazing. I'm so happy you came here. I'm so happy that you challenged technology
Thank you
and
for
said,
inviting me. I'm not, it's thanks to you that we're having this conversation, right? So you initiated it. So I appreciate the opportunity. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in for this conversation. I hope it was fun. I hope it was educational. Hope you found something new and learned something new. And thank you again, Juan Camilo, for this opportunity. Great
no,
talking to
Andre.
you and great
No,
seeing you again.
no, great seeing you too. And I will say, I love you guys. You guys have done incredible 12 years at Northeastern and now pushing new college of the humanities.
That's right.
This is good. For those of you watching, we will put this on IGTV on Instagram, on my personal account. And also it goes into JCT for Education YouTube account. So here we are. Andre, spasiba. Come back soon.
Well, gracias, muchas gracias, señor. And I'm looking forward to the next time we have this conversation.
Looking forward, and you be safe. And I hope your cooking skills are good because mine is they're getting better. Okay.
Excellent.
Ciao.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
so
Ciao,
much.
ciao.
Bye bye. Gracias.
Bye.
Bye bye.